Hello, this is Pixel Freak, and we are doing part 22 of the Final Fantasy Dimensions walkthrough. So we are now joining back with Team Soul and the other Warriors of Light, and we're here in Deist. So for this particular piece, there's going to be a little bit of story here to start out with. Then we're going to go cruising through a town, clean everything out, a couple of story elements in there, and then we'll kind of lead into the next dungeon at the end of this piece. So this team also, if you remember back to when we left them, they got the new Dragoon job. And unfortunately, I'm not using it yet. I'm not too much farther ahead in the game looking back on this piece. I'm about 4 or 5 pieces in front of this. But I haven't used the Dragoon job yet. I'm looking forward to it here in the near future. Been too in-depth with the current jobs I have. That's always kind of the trade-off when you get new jobs, is you get all these new cool abilities, but you're level 1 in the job, and it's hard to compare when you're like level 15. If you're a level 15 warrior, who wants to be a level 1 dragoon? I love that dragon noise. It really reminds me of the dragons in, I think it's Chrono Trigger, that there's dragons that sound just like that. Maybe it was Secret of Mana, but I'm really thinking it was Chrono Trigger. And it's not exactly the same sound effect, it's just very similar. All right, cut to the Bard, Eduardo, I think, yeah, Eduardo. So you can kind of tell through the story elements that he's going to be your next guest character with this particular team. That's the way the game seems to be organized, is you go to one section, you get a guest team member, you play out their little piece of the story, then you lose them as you solve their piece of the story, and then you pick up a new guest and you solve their piece of the story. So you can also guess that because Eduardo is a bard, that bard is going to be the other job, or at least the next job that the Light Warriors get on their roster. So Barbara drops you off here. I think the name of the town is Capo, something like that. You're right outside the town, and that's where we're going to go check everything out. Clean out barrels and people's houses and stores. I always love that. That's a great RPG mechanic. You just like walk into people's houses. Yeah, I'm going to look through your cupboards, and I'm going to steal all your money. And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. We don't know you. That's okay. I think there's been some noteworthy games that have actually made fun of that. There's been some RPG games, and I wish I could think of the name of one of them off the top of my head right now, but there's been some, they're almost satirical RPGs. Bard's Tale is one of them, that they kind of make fun of that mechanic where you go in the back of this bar and you go to open up a treasure box, and they're like, yeah, so you don't own this treasure box? Why are you stealing from this bar? But we've just kind of been conditioned over the course of playing RPGs to just loot anything and everything we can. So I'm kind of juggling jobs here, and if you've missed some of the commentary that I've talked about jobs in the recent videos, it's a good idea to level up at least one job to level 10 to start. Now, all the jobs, you get different skills and stuff as you go through, but the one common thing that all the jobs have across them is that at level 10 you get an additional ability slot. So really you want to level up your jobs in pieces of 10 levels if you have the opportunity to do that. It's also a good idea to go check out some online wikis on the jobs. There is one if you go Google Final Fantasy Dimensions Jobs Wiki. Go Google that phrase. There's a really cool wiki out there that'll tell you what all the abilities are and what levels you get them at, so you can kind of plan your job strategy and go about it as you'd like to go about it. I've found that even the jobs that I've in the past kind of protested against, like the Red Mage, they actually have a decent amount of validity in this game. Some of the abilities later on in the game are actually pretty cool. So with that, even though in the beginning I kind of spoke out against leveling up your jobs too much with these entry-level jobs, there are some really cool skills that are nice to use when mixed with future jobs. So it does actually some good for you to level up, say, a monk or a black mage or a white mage. There's some benefits there. But go check out that wiki, because it'll give you a better understanding of exactly what happens in the future, so you know how to plan out your team. So there are some new items here, and I think there's some new spells here as well. This is also a good place for you to go to grind. I don't think I grind here. I think I do the next dungeon first, and then I do a substantial amount of grinding just to fill out my gear and my spells, and I think the next town's really expensive. There's a big upgrade in the next town. The dungeon ahead too, it's not too over the top. It's pretty easy. It's really short, and then the boss battle afterwards is pretty simple. So you don't really need to upgrade everything right now if you don't want to, just because the first dungeon's not too bad. But the dungeon after that is a substantial step up, so you'll need to make sure that you have all the latest and greatest gear for that dungeon. Alright, so the story here, as you walk into the bar, there's some pirates here causing a fuss. Everybody wants you to beat them down. As you saw, I kind of said no to start. But you do need to say yes to progress the story. That'll actually put you into a fight, and it'll move everything on a little bit. Alright, so I've passed at this point because I just want to check everything out. There's also a warp in this town, and I guess we'll get to that here in a minute. And it's a good thing there is, too, because if you've missed anything previous to this part, you can actually walk back there by using that warp. The warp will take you to the Dragon Roost, where Barbara hangs out. I think her name was Barbara. Anyways, and I, when I was doing this walkthrough, actually just straight missed the cave where Rama resides. Rama is the first extra summon, well, I guess aside from Chocobo. And this is that warp right here, the rift. So once you use that rift, it'll take you back to the dragon place, and I'll be utilizing that here in a video or two, a couple parts in the future. I go back and do Rama's cave to pick up Rama, because I want to make sure I don't forget him. Not sure exactly how I'll number that piece, because in the grand scheme of things, it should have been back around part 17 or 18, but it's going to fall onto like part 25. And because I want it to be numbered correctly, I'll probably do something like do 17A, but then I'll have to do the commentary and explain why my guys are so ass-kick crazy, because they're just going to be way too high level for that dungeon. And I'm just going to walk right through it. Alright, so now we're going to rough them up. This is not by any means a difficult fight. It's just 4 pirates. This is kind of similar to the original Final Fantasy. There was actually a town, the second town in that game was taken over by pirates. And you had to go in there and defeat, I think you had to kill like 9 pirates. They were all real wimpy, but there was 9 of them, so it was actually a decent fight. Then once you beat those pirates, you got your first boat. So this is actually reminiscent of that fight, because here the pirates have taken over the town, they're locked at the port, you fight them, and then you move on using their boat. You don't actually get the boat, but they take you out to Pirate Island, which sounds like it's from Disneyland. Yeah, each one of these guys has a little bit of HP, but by no means this is a difficult fight. This is a pretty easy fight. Alright, so they wean her off and they take off back to their boat. All the tenants here in the bar, all the patrons. I guess that's the waitress and the bartender though, so they're not patrons. They're happy for you that you did that, and then you go back to the boat, and they're going to want to take you to the boss now. So from here, you're going to get on the boat, and they're going to take you off to Pirate Island or Pirate Cove or whatever Disneyland attraction it was. And then you'll have to go find their boss. The next dungeon actually that's the dungeon, is you go through the cave, you're going from where you dock the boat down to the captain. I love that he's kind of still talking smack, and you're like, yeah, we just kicked all of your friends' asses. And they're like, yeah, so? But then they appeal to the boss. The boss. And the boss would be the boss in the next dungeon, too. Of course, I gotta check all the barrels here in the pirate ship, but no, they're pirates. They're not gonna have any valuables in their different crates. I think I give up relatively quickly, realizing that there's nothing in any of these crates. So there's really nothing to be had throughout all these different rooms. You're best off just talking to the captain of the ship and take off towards the boss's island. So I guess this is the second time that you're in a transport of sorts, because you did get in the airship, but then you got shot down right away. This is the second time that you've gotten a transport and you don't have control. They're just teasing you, because everybody knows that when you get the airship in Final Fantasy, that is the awesome moment. And every game's got it. You have to get your airship at some point. Pirate Island. It's like they all got around in a meeting and they're like, this is our hideout, what are we going to call it? I don't know. Pirate Island. They're like the least creative pirates in the entire world. What I love here too is they're like, yeah, why don't you just go ahead and go to sleep? Sure, you're not going to stab us, right? We're just going to go to sleep down here in your pirate ship on our way to Pirate Island so that we can see your boss about how we just beat up his crew to make him stop using a port. You're not going to stab us. No one's getting rapey. That's not going to happen. And I can't believe they actually go to sleep. Near unbelievable. And what I really love too is look how far off the coast they were. It's like a 5-minute trip on the boat. Yeah, why don't you go to sleep? We won't get rapey, I promise. Alright, so here's the docks. And this is actually the end of this piece right at that save point. So the next part will be covering this dungeon. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, this has been Pixel Freak.